Good evening, friends. I'm Mr. Narratory. If you're here, it means the day is done and the quiet has finally arrived. Tell me, what time is it where you are right now? And what's your favorite way to end the day? If these stories bring you peace, consider subscribing, liking, or sharing them with someone who needs a little calm. Now, let's begin. The observatory sits at the very top of the hill that overlooks the sleeping town. Its round copper dome tarnished with time, its stone walls mossy in the corners and cool to the touch even on warm nights. It hasn't opened to the public in years, though the lantern outside the heavy wooden door still burns a soft, steady gold each night, flickering in the wind like a breath that hasn't yet been exhaled. I keep the place running quietly, carefully, without ceremony. I don't take visitors anymore, not really. The ones who come are the kind who don't knock. They arrive in dreams or just outside of them, walking the path without shoes, speaking softly to the sky. The telescope in the center of the dome is older than I am and heavier than it looks. A massive shape of polished brass and ancient glass lenses that hum faintly when the sky is clear. It doesn't point toward stars anymore. It hasn't for years. Not since it began watching dreams instead. No one told it to. It just started doing so. One foggy night, when I came upstairs and found it already shifted toward the horizon, not up, but out tracking something invisible and slow, something that moved not with gravity but with memory. That was years ago now, and I've been here every night since. I light the oil lamps along the wall, adjust the leather stool beneath the eyepiece, and place my hands along the sides of the old wooden desk where I keep a notebook and a soft graphite pencil. The telescope moves on its own. It finds what it needs to see. I just record. Tonight, as the first low breeze curls past the windows and the dome creaks open like an eyelid adjusting to darkness, the room feels especially still. Outside, the town below glows faintly in sleep rows of rooftops bathed in moonlight, narrow streets silent but not empty. I press my eye to the glass. The image arrives slowly, like always. It's not an image in the way you'd expect. It's a feeling made visible patch of ocean, made of candlelight, a forest upside down with birds flying backward in time, a hand reaching for something and finding only its own reflection. Dreams never make much sense here, but they don't need to. My job isn't to understand, it's to witness. I take a long breath and begin to sketch what I see, not shapes, not symbols, but textures. The weight of longing, the hum of something forgotten. I write down a single phrase, like someone remembering the warmth of a song. That's enough. And if you're here with me tonight sitting quietly in your own dark room, or lying in bed with your thoughts still half dressed, I hope you know that your dreams are being held too. Even the ones you forgot when you woke. Even the ones that didn't make sense. They matter here, you matter here. You're allowed to rest, even if you don't understand why you're tired. I stay at the telescope a little longer. The image shifts, becoming softer, bluer. It feels like someone falling asleep on a train. I write down one more line, a breath that turned into light. Then I close the notebook gently and pour a cup of tea from the tin kettle by the window. The steam curls upward into the open dome. The sky doesn't look back. but I think it knows I'm watching. Tonight, the telescope moves slower than usual, as if reluctant to chase the thread of what it's found, like it knows that the dream it's tracking is fragile and must be followed only by breath. The dome above creaks open wide to welcome the sky, and the wind outside has quieted into long, slow sighs that wrap around the old stone walls like familiar arms. The town below is soft with sleep, no movement in the streets, no flickers of lamplight from forgotten windows. I sit at the desk again, notebook open to a fresh page, the kettle already warm beside me. There's a rhythm to these nights, a heartbeat the observatory has kept for so long. I don't remember what silence felt like before it began. The dream that comes into focus tonight is faint dim, at the edges like something remembered too late, but still warm to the touch. It begins with a hallway, long and curving, lined with mirrors that show not the dreamer, but places they've been. Not just real places, but felt places. A childhood bedroom, a forest where they were once held in a long embrace, a field at dusk where no words were spoken, but everything important was understood. The images shift like light underwater. Nothing stays still for long. I make small sketches of the moments that linger, the curve of a hand reaching toward a memory, a coat buttoned by someone else's fingers, the sound of an old piano playing a song only the dreamer recognizes. I write, quiet grief disguised as color. The telescope shifts again. The dream deepens. I follow. There's a station now empty, sunlit, but with no sun in the sky. A bench, a book on the bench, a name written inside in handwriting the dreamer doesn't remember, but their body does. The page smells like vanilla and rain. I let the image go. I don't hold on to it too tightly. Dreams don't like being pinned down. I pour tea again and glance at the row of dream journals stacked along the shelf. They're dated by moon phases, not days. I find that time flows better when measured by light. I turn back to the lens and rest one hand against the brass. It's cool tonight. The telescope hums faintly under my palm, as if it knows I'm there and thanks me for watching. And if you're with me in this moment, wherever you are, whatever weight you brought to bed maybe, you can loosen your grip on it now. You don't need to carry it through the dark. Not here, not now. You've done enough for today. You're allowed to drift. Let your thoughts become soft around the edges. Let them blur a little. I write one more line. The shape of forgiveness, folded like a letter never sent. The dream fades, but not entirely. They never really vanish. They just go quiet again, like birds settling into nests at dawn. The telescope stills. Outside, the clouds have parted, revealing a few stars low on the horizon, flickering like the last candles in a room too peaceful to wake. I sip my tea, set the cup down beside the sketchbook, and lean back in the chair. The next dream is already on its way. The observatory doesn't sleep not in the way rooms do when left alone. Even when I step away from the telescope to refill the kettle or stretch my legs, I can feel it listening. The wooden floors hum with the same low note the telescope sings when it finds something, and the walls hold the warmth of moonlight like an old coat holds scent. I carry the fresh mug back to the desk, the steam curling toward the rafters, and press my eye gently to the glass again. The dream that rises this time is darker, not frightening, just shaded, like something stored in the back of a drawer, forgotten not because it hurt, but because it mattered too much to keep in reach. I see water deep, still, and black as ink, yet lit from beneath by a glow that pulses softly with every breath. There's a boat, no oars, no sails. It doesn't drift, it waits. The dreamer stands at the edge, toes just over the rim, and the water ripples with recognition, not invitation. This isn't a dream of going, it's a dream of being seen. I watch them place something into the boat. A scarf, a folded note, a photograph with the center worn smooth from being held too often. The items dissolve slowly, not into the water, but into light, and the dream begins to blur. I write, letting go without giving up. I turn the page and sketch the outline of the water, the light blooming up from its depths like a lantern underwater. The next image is already forming a treehouse, high above a forest that glows gold, even though no sun shines above it. Inside the treehouse, shelves line the walls, and on every shelf is a box. Some are labeled, some are not. The dreamer opens one. Inside is a dried flower and a crumpled paper star. They smile not because they remember, but because they want to. I write, memory as kindness, not truth. I pause and sip my tea. The observatory creaks faintly, the sound of wood adjusting to stillness. It's a good sound, a safe sound. I look out the narrow side window for a moment and see nothing but cloud. The sky is folding in again, as it does when it wants to keep something close. If you're listening now, whether you're half asleep or just barely breathing through the weight of your day, I hope you know this. You don't have to understand what you feel for it to matter. You don't need to make it make sense. You're already doing so well by simply being here. Let that be enough. I turn back to the lens and watch as the dream shifts once more to hallway now. Long and curving paper birds strung from the ceiling, each one fluttering without wind. The dreamer walks slowly. They touch one bird as they pass, and it changes color blue to gold, gold to white. At the end of the hallway is a window. Outside it, stars. But not these stars. Different ones. Softer, closer. I can't tell if they're real. I write, hope that doesn't need proof. The dream begins to fade. I sit back and let it go. The air in the dome feels thicker now, full of stories that haven't finished forming. The kettle hums low. The sky presses its weight against the open hatch. And I, with graphite-smudged fingers and a half-empty cup, stay right here watching for the next shape sleep will send. The fourth hour always feels heavier in the observatory, not with burden, but with a fullness that settles into the bones of the room, like steam thickening in a cup you haven't lifted yet. The telescope has stilled for a moment, its great brass frame quiet, angled low toward a place in the sky I don't recognize. That's how I know the dream it's tracking isn't far. Some dreams float for miles before they're seen. Others rise gently from a room not far from here, carried on a sigh or the moment a lamp is turned off and someone allows the weight of the day to slip off their shoulders. I sip from my cooling tea and sit back in the chair, not watching through the lens just yet. Sometimes the best way to see clearly is to wait The dome is almost silent, save for the creak of old wood settling, the faint metallic tick of cooling pipes, and the wind brushing past the stone like a hand passing along a shuttered window. When the telescope hums again, it's softer than before. I lean forward and rest my eye to the glass. What arrives isn't a place or a person but a feeling, like stepping into a room where you once loved someone, like hearing a song you didn't know you'd memorized until the melody caught in your throat. I wait. Slowly, shapes begin to form. A table set for 3, though only one person sits at it. A candle burns between them and no one else. Their hands are folded not from prayer, but from habit. They look up. The room around them is soft with velvet dust, a place that looks like memory but breathes like longing. There's a sound in the dream. Rain? No. It's the quiet drip of a faucet somewhere in the distance. I write, waiting without asking. The dreamer stands, walks toward a window, opens it. The outside is forest, thick with fog. They lean out not to escape, but to listen to something, maybe someone. I don't know. I sketch the candle, the shape of the chair, the curve of their shoulder. The telescope shifts again, moving slowly now, as if it too is reluctant to leave. The new dream arrives softly a shoreline at night, the tide brushing against sand that glows faintly with each retreat, as if memory were trapped in the water. The dreamer walks slowly, barefoot, head tilted upward toward stars that don't resemble any constellation I've known. They pause, kneel, dig a small hole in the sand, and bury a scrap of paper. When they walk away, a flower grows from the spot pale blue and humming faintly. I don't try to interpret it. I never do. My job is not to explain, but to witness. And if you're here in this moment, maybe you've buried something too, something no one saw, something you let go of quietly. It's okay. You don't have to go back for it. You can rest now. You've done enough. The tide will remember it for you. I write, grief that turned into gentleness. I close my notebook and place my hand once more on the telescope's body. It's warm, as if it's been holding that dream longer than I have. The sky outside the dome is deeper, now more ink than navy. The stars stretched out like threads across a quilt. There's more coming. I can feel it in the hush. The air is heavy with stories that haven't arrived yet. I lean back, refill my cup, and wait for the next dream to rise. By the 5th hour, everything inside the observatory feels quieter. Not because the dreams are fading, but because they've grown more intimate, closer to the skin, closer to the breath. The air in the dome is warmer now, thick with the scent of old paper, brass, and a trace of chamomile from the kettle that has boiled and cooled more than once already. Outside, the clouds have softened into long pale ribbons against the horizon, and the stars above blink in slow, steady rhythms, like eyes slowly closing in rest. I return to the eyepiece and feel the subtle hum before I even lean into the view. The telescope has found something again, and this time it arrives more slowly than usual, unfolding like a letter whose creases are worn soft by the years. What comes into view is a bedroom, not one I know, but familiar in the way all bedrooms are at 3 a.m., lit by nothing but a sliver of moonlight and the glow of something left quietly on, perhaps a lamp, or perhaps the memory of someone's voice. The bed is made. The window is open. On the floor, a pile of books with pages marked not by bookmarks but by folded corners and pieces of thread. The dreamer isn't present at first, but then a soft movement at the edge of the frame-bare feet on a wooden floor, slow steps, the kind made by someone who isn't sure they're awake or dreaming. They sit on the bed, pick up one of the books, and open to a page with no words. Just a pressed flower, dried and crumbling at the edge. Their lips move. I can't hear what they say, but the dream doesn't need sound. It speaks in warmth, in ache, in the kind of silence that feels earned. I write, longing in lower case. The telescope shifts slightly, and now the dream shows a window, a wide lake, still and silver, a small rowboat bobbing with no anchor. The dreamer steps inside, holding something I can't see, and begins to drift without ever rowing. The sky above them darkens, but the stars below the water brighten. I sketch the curve of the boat, the tilt of their shoulders, the way their body lets go of tension, one vertebra at a time. And if you're here, still listening, still breathing slowly beneath your own weight, maybe you feel that release too. Maybe you've been holding something for longer than you remember. And maybe, just for tonight, you can let the silence carry it for you. You're safe. Let go. Let the water remember what you don't need to. I sip from my tea and close the sketchbook momentarily, watching as the dream ripples outward like a dropped stone, the image becoming softer, wider, until it's just light again. The telescope slows. There's no rush. The dreams come when they're ready. I wipe my glasses with the edge of my sleeve, then light the last of the candle short, wide, lavender-scented, and set it near the ledger. Its glow is soft, too soft to write by, but perfect for watching. Outside, the wind stirs faintly through the treetops on the far slope, a hush woven with leaf and distance. I press one hand to the edge of the old brass frame and wait. Another dream is blooming. I can feel it in my chest, like a memory I haven't met yet. It's nearly morning, but the sky hasn't changed yet, not here. Not above the observatory dome where time bends itself around the rhythm of the dream still drifting through. This is the quietest hour of the night, when the world below is at its deepest sleep and the air feels thick with meaning. I refill the kettle again, though I no longer watch the water boil. I know when it's ready by the way the steam curls just once, just so, in front of the tiny pane of glass above the sink. I return to the telescope and feel the hum before I even touch the frame. The lens is angled high again, toward a place in the sky I once called Orion, but which now feels more like an open door. I place my eye to the glass. This dream takes a while to come into view, not because it's far, but because it's tender. It resists being seen all at once, unfolding the way a shy voice does when it's finally asked the right question. At first, I see only fog thick and low, like early morning mist, curling along an unfamiliar road. Then a figure. Then another. They're walking together, not speaking, not touching, just moving in the same direction. There's comfort in that, a kind of shared rhythm, a promise made with footsteps. They reach a bench. One sits. The other stands, back turned to the path they came from. There's something in their handsaw letter, a scarf, a photograph. It's never clear. The dream isn't trying to show me details. It wants to show me feeling. And so I watch. They don't speak, but everything about the space between them says, I know, I remember, I still care. I write. Companionship shaped like silence. The fog lifts slightly. A third figure arrive as small, quick, glowing at the edges like they've been laughing in another part of the dream and have only now wandered into this one. The energy shifts. The stillness is still there, but it's warmer, more awake. The first two figures smile. The third one doesn't stay long. Just long enough to leave a single item behind, a paper crane. It flutters to the ground, lands near the feet of the one who sat. Then the dream shifts. I let it. It's become a field now wild grass, brushing at the knees, stars hanging low like lanterns. The sky no longer dark, but deep blue, like fabric pulled over a window at dawn. The dreamer runs not fast, not frantic, just freely. Their arms are loose, their breath even, and the wind around them carries no sound except joy. I press my hand to my chest for a moment, not sure why, and exhale. I write, peace remembered as motion. And if you're still with me now, still wrapped in the hush of this hour, I hope you feel it too, that soft recognition, the reminder that your spirit knows how to run again. Maybe not now, maybe not yet, but the field is waiting. You haven't forgotten the way. You're not behind. I pour one last cup of tea and let the steam rise toward the glass dome above me, where the stars pulse faintly, like breath caught in slow rhythm. The telescope is quieter now, not empty, just resting. The dreams are still circling, but even they have begun to close their eyes. The stars begin to fade, not in light, but in intention. By the seventh hour, they've grown soft around the edges, their sharpness blunted by the promise of approaching day. But the sky above the observatory hasn't turned yet. It still holds the deep indigo of almost morning, that sacred color that carries the last true hush of the night. The telescope is still now. It hasn't found a new dream in several minutes, and I don't press it to move. It's allowed to rest, too. I sip what's left of the tea, now cool and sweet, and press the side of my hand against the open journal. The graphite has smudged slightly across the page, gray shadows of remembered sketches, half lines of words I may never finish. I run my fingers over one of them, hope that doesn't need proof, and let myself breathe. The observatory creaks as the dome adjusts a fraction, letting in a wider spill of sky. The brass catches the faintest hint of morning light, the kind you can't see yet but feel just behind your ribs. I return to the lens anyway, not expecting another dream, but open to the possibility. And there it is, soft as fog, pale as milk glass, the smallest dream of the night, a single figure seated beside a pond. No moon, no stars, just still water, and their reflection, blinking softly like a second self. They drop something into the pond, not a stone, not a flower, just breath. And the ripples it makes never stop moving, like time itself being gently stirred by care. The dream doesn't shift. It doesn't open into more. It just holds. I write presence without plot. And perhaps that's the truest dream of all, the one that doesn't explain itself or offer symbols or solve anything. The one that just stays so you don't have to. I sit with that image a while longer, not sketching, not writing, just witnessing. And if you're still here with me, if you've made it this far into the soft dark, thank you. That's all. Just thank you. You don't need to do anything else tonight. You don't need to think deeper or feel stronger or sleep faster. You've already earned the rest that waits in this silence. Let yourself fall into it like the last ripple on the pond, smooth, quiet, complete. I draw one last line in the book. The dream ends, but the stillness remains. I close the cover and tie the thin linen ribbon around its edges. The observatory hums once more, not in searching, but in closing. A goodbye, maybe, or a breath. Outside, the sky has turned the palest possible blue, the edge of everything beginning. I rise from the stool and stretch, my limbs slow, my back familiar with this hour. I gather the used teacups, fold the wool blanket from the back of the chair, and glance once more through the dome at the sky that held so many dreams. They've gone quiet now, not lost, just resting somewhere inside the light. Dawn comes slowly to the observatory, not in beams or bursts, but in a quiet brightening that begins in the glass, then the stone, then the air itself. The stars fade first, of course, not all at once, but one by one, as if each were saying its own goodbye. The brass of the telescope has gone still and cool beneath my hand. Its long body rests in shadow now. Angled away from the sky, it has read all night, like a reader who has closed their book but still holds it in their lap. I move through the room with care, gathering the teacups, closing the ledger, placing the ribbon journal on the shelf beside the others. Each spine carries no title, only the soft scrawl of a moon phase or a single word. Hush, longing, light, home. Outside the dome, the trees below are touched with the softest gold, and the rooftops of the town blink gently into waking. No one down there knows what passed above them in the night. Or maybe they do. Maybe they wake with the echoes of the dreams that drifted through this lens. Maybe they stretch a little deeper. Maybe they don't remember why they feel lighter. That's enough for me. The telescope hums once more, low and brief. A kind of thank you, or perhaps just a sigh. I kneel beside it, press my palm flat to the polished wood of its base, and rest there for a moment, eyes closed, heart quiet. No dream arrives, but I feel something: warmth, presence, not a vision, but a memory of having been witness. And maybe that's all we ever need. Not meaning, not explanation, just to know we were there and that we were kind. I rise and open the side windows. The morning air spills in, cool and filled with birdsong. The scent of dew and distant chimney smoke threads through the space. The observatory does not close with a latch or a lock. It simply stops asking. It waits now for night, for sleep, for the next slow bloom of a dream rising quietly through the dark. And if you've come this far with me, if you've sat through every hush, every flicker, every sketch and breath, I hope something in you feels a little softer now. You don't need to carry anything forward but that softness. You're safe, you're seen, and you're welcome to return here whenever you need. The kettle is quiet now. The stars have gone to bed. And I, with a smudge of graphite on my wrist and warmth in my chest that has nothing to do with tea, step out onto the stone steps, blinking into the gold of morning, holding the stillness like a folded page in my pocket. The dome hums one last time behind me. I don't turn around. I don't have to. The dreams will find their way here again. They always do. Thank you for spending this quiet night with me, watching the dreams pass gently across the stars. If you're still here, eyes heavy, heart light, I hope you're feeling just a little softer than when we began. Let me know in the comments, what did you see in this story? What moment stayed with you? If you'd like more stories like this low, quiet, and made for rest, please consider liking and subscribing. It helps me keep the telescope polished and the kettle warm. Sleep well, dear friends. Until next time, keep dreaming.